We're coming to you live from heaven's #1 source of news, the Faith News Network.
Breaking news! Coming to you live, it's breaking news! Coming to you live!
I'm Cameron Flowers.
And I'm Summer Showers.
Stay with us as we cover God's gift of faith throughout the ages.
Coming to you live on definitive from heaven's streets of gold. Headlines ripped from history, stories new and old. Centuries we see, from easy to weighty. Ordinary people who trust what they can see. Fake news, fake news. Fake news, fake news. Who's in heaven headlines today? Who will seek his face? Who's in the heavenly headlines today? Who will walk with faith? Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will seek his face? Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will walk with faith? Our heart is big, bigger than we could ever know. Oh, wake up, trust His faithfulness. No matter where we go, His promises are true. What He says He will do. That's a headline you can count on. That's faith, faith, fake news. Fake news, fake news. Fake news, fake news. Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will seek His face? Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will walk with faith? Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will seek His face? Who's in heavenly headlines today? Who will walk with faith? Our heart is big, big, bigger than we can ever know. Oh, wake up, trust His faithfulness. No matter where you go, His promises are true. What He says He will do.
That's a headline you can count on.
A headline you can count on. That's a headline you can count on. That's faith, faith, fake news.
From the Gay Plaza, it's your hosts, Cameron Flowers and Summer Showers.
Good morning to all the heavenly hosts. It's another beautiful day here at the pearly gates. We are so glad you've joined us for Faith News today.
As you know, we shine a big golden spotlight on God's people, those who trust in Him and His promises.
It's always an honor to sit here next to my co-host, Summer Showers. And I must say, you have a brilliant new hairdo today.
Thank you, Seaflow. To admit, I picked up the lineup we have for today, and it's Halo-tastic.
And with that, let's go to our roving angel reporters on the ground, Seraphim and Cherubim.
Thank you, Cameron and Summer. We're here in April where everyone is abuzz about the subject of our Faith News feature this morning.
That's right. What the people are saying here is that Noah has been building a very large boat for decades. And if you know the dry weather around here, you know that's pretty weird.
Let's get it straight from his wife, Mrs. Noah.
Hello. Just speak into the microphone here.
That black stick?
Yes, the black stick.
So, can you tell us a little about what's going on with your husband, Noah?
If you're here to make fun of him too, I'm not gonna.
Oh no, we're very interested in the construction project going on here.
Oh, well, in that case, years and years ago, Noah told me that he was going to build a very big boat called
An ark.
an ark. You've heard of it? And of course, I told him it's gonna be expensive.
I'd imagine so.
You have no idea. So he builds the boat. I think, what do I care? He has a hobby. But then he tells me he wants to put animals on it. But get this, not just the animals we own. He wants to put 2 of every animal on the boat.
That's a lot of animals.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Yeah, so guess what I've been doing for the past year? Starting around zoo. But I'm not complaining, mind you. All God's creatures are valuable, and I don't want to.
Mrs. Noah, I don't mean to interrupt, but you think you could get your husband to come over here?
Sure, I gotta go feed the camels and giraffes anyway.
Hey, Noah!
Come meet my new friends. They're not making fun of us. They actually care about what God has to say.
Definitely.
Well, talk to the black stick hen.
I've learned that when God says something, I should obey. He's never given me a reason to doubt him. And if God says it's going to rain, it's going to rain.
When God told Noah there was gonna be a flood, it was a little hard to stomach since it's so dry we've never seen mud. But I stood by my man, and at least I knew my friends would understand until I told them and heard them say.
If I see it,
Seeing is believing,
then I'll believe it.
'cause seeing is believing.
You're talking crazy.
We're living in a desert, so grab some sunscreen. It's crazy to believe something you can't see. So what do you say now, Noah? Hey, Noah.
It's gonna rain.
Seeing is believing,
It's gonna rain.
but seeing is believing.
It doesn't make sense.
We're living in a desert.
Only just the same.
Now you've lost it, Noah. He will not let me down. The sky has a desert town. I trust his word is true. What he said he's gonna do.
It's gonna rain.
Oh, it's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain.
Oh, it's gonna rain.
It doesn't make sense.
Oh, it's gonna rain.
And I believe just the same.
Oh, it's gonna rain.
Wait, what's that?
What's happening?
Why do I feel wet?
Drip droplets falling from the sky. Drip drop, I can't believe my eyes. Drip droplets falling from the sky. Drip drop, I can't believe my eyes. Drip droplets falling from the sky.
It's gonna rain.
Oh, I can't believe my eyes.
Doesn't make sense.
Drip falling from the sky.
I believe just the same.
Always on my eyes. Here comes
Well, as you can see, it did rain. No zebras are in for a big surprise. And that brings us to a weather forecast with our very own summer showers.
As you just saw, it is currently raining in Noah's neighborhood. Meanwhile, in the desert between Elim and Sinai, manna and quail are falling from the sky. God has provided for his hungry people by actually making food fall from the sky. Hallelujah! I'm always excited to see what God does next. Of course, in the desert, it is hot, hot, hot. Not a drop of rain there.
While summers make their way back to the desk, we'll go to commercial. Just kidding. Everyone knows there are no commercials in heaven.
Wasn't it amazing to see the faith of Noah, even when it looked like it would never rain?
It sure was. You know, having faith means that you know what God says is real, even though you can't see it. Let's go back to Sarah and Jared on the ground reporting in Susa.
Thank you, Seaflow. We are on the ground of the Persian capital of Susa, talking with Queen Esther, who has quite a story to tell.
I'll say she does. Queen, can you give your heavenly viewers a little background on your story here?
Well, the king has been looking for a new queen, and he brought a bunch of us to live at his palace, where we were pampered with spa treatments almost every day for a year. It was quite luxurious.
I should say so.
And then, can you believe, out of all his girls, the king picked me to be his queen?
That's quite an honor, but I understand that you could be facing what could be a life or death situation. Can you tell us more?
Before I became queen, my cousin Mordecai made me promise not to tell anyone that I'm a Hebrew. But now there's a horrible man named Haman working for the king, and he wants to kill all the Jewish people.
Unbelievable. Can't you talk to the king about it?
We have very specific laws here. Even as queen, I'm not allowed to go to see the king unless he specifically invites me. Anyone who goes to see the king without an invitation could be killed.
Mercy.
We've all been fasting and praying to God. Honestly, it's a pretty scary decision. But my cousin Mordecai says that this may even be the reason I became queen, for this very moment.
And it looks like the king has removed Haman from power. Because of the faith of Esther, the entire Jewish people will be saved.
Her very life was in danger, but she risked it all and trusted that God had led her to that very moment. And that's
Faith of Faith News.
Sometimes God causes people to do dangerous things when they trust him. It reminds me of a story of this guy named Saul, who was killing all Christians. Everyone knew who he was, and he was scary.
Super scary. I remember that. I think this is the perfect time for what Sequel and I like to call fantastic faithing.
In fantastic faithing, Summer and I compete with each other by acting out stories of heroes of the faith. Every time the bell chimes, we switch places. You participate in the voting by clapping your wings as we go along. Ready? Let me hear those wings.
In today's fantastic faithing, we'll be recognizing the story of Ananias and Saul.
Let's get started. Saul was on the road to Damascus when he heard a loud voice. It was Jesus talking to him. But then he was blind.
So one day, this chill dude named Ananias was minding his own business when all of a sudden, God tells him to go find the scary guy, Saul, and lay his hands on him to regain his sight. Regain his sight? Saul was blind, was he? Sounds like a trick. Why would God have Ananias reveal he was a Christian to a man who was hunting Christians?
But our God is bigger. And Ananias was part of God's grander plan. While Saul was on that road, blind as a bat, Jesus told him a man named Ananias would find him and help restore his sight.
Ananias had to trust what God said was true, even if he did not know where he was going or even if he would be safe. Once Ananias obeyed in faith,
Saul's sight had returned, and he changed his name to Paul.
who wrote much of the New Testament. God did a mighty work in his life, and that's
Fantastic faithing. Fantastic.
what? Faithing.
Faithing is trusting that God's in control, and he is faithful.
I don't think that's a word, but it should be.
Let's jump to sports. As you know, the Halos and Flappers are competing today in the final tournament of the season.
A thing you want to keep your eyes out for is the League of Faith, which both teams will be using. It's the mightiest slam dunk in heaven.
Let's go to the Hall of Faith now.
who is eyes in heaven? Be on the cross, turn in the midst, be courageous, be strong, do everything in love. Be on the cross, and turn in the midst, be courageous, be strong, do everything in love. Dribble, 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 a basketball, basketball, dribble, 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 a shoot, score. Dribble, 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 a basketball, basketball, remember, those times allow. There are no losers in heaven. Big as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this massive food and get more food. Big as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this massive food and get more food. Nothing will be impossible for you. 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 Dribble, 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 now tackle, tackle, dribble, 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 now shoot, score! Dribble, 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 now tackle, tackle, remember, no flying allowed. The leap of faith. The leap of faith. The leap of faith. The leap of faith.
Tie game!
There are no losers in heaven.
Go Penguins, go Flappers, what a game. Now let's go to traffic with our very own Cameron Flowers.
There is a slowdown of angels breaking near the gate of awesomeness. The overflow traffic from the Hall of Faith has been rerouted past the Celebration Coliseum and Sugar Praetorium. For our traffic view, we will go to our correspondent, Fly Wingspan. Wingspan, can you hear me?
It's a cable broken down by the side of the road. It's going to take a while to clear up those two speed lights. And over at Sanson Village, two enormous pillars have fallen, blocking all access to the main road. If you travel back a few centuries with me, looks like the road around the Red Sea has just ended, so we have smooth travel now. And that's traffic with Wingspan. Back to you, Flo.
Thanks for that eye of the sky report, Wingspan. Now I'll take you back to Terrence Air, where... Am I getting this right? Yes, they are walking. I repeat, they are not flying, but walking with a large group around the city of Jericho.
Okay, take the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord and have 7 priests carry trumpets in front of it.
Excuse me, may we talk to you?
Sure, if you can walk alongside and keep up.
My sources tell me that you and your people have been walking around the city for 6 days. Can you tell us why?
Sure can. I was near Jericho when an angel appeared to me and told me to take off my sandals. I was standing on holy ground.
Oh, right. That was my friend Mike. He told me about that.
What?
Never mind.
Anyways, the angel told me that the Lord had delivered Jericho into our hands. We just needed to march around the city one time for 6 days. So that's what we did. But today, we marched around the city 7 times with priests carrying trumpets in front of it. And on the final trumpet blast, the whole army will shout,
And the walls of Jericho will fall to the ground.
Yes, that's what the angel told me. How did you know?
Never mind.
This is so exciting, but I noticed the people in the wall towers were laughing at you. They do not seem too concerned. How does that make you feel?
Following God can sometimes feel a little silly, especially when what he tells us to do seems impossible. Every step of faith takes effort, but it gets easier as you walk with him. Which reminds me, word to the wise, if you're going to walk around a city 7 times, you better put on some sensible shoes.
It's the 7th day in Jericho, the day that they've been waiting for. They marched around the city wall every day the week before. God had daybreak and Joshua gave the word to march out on the 7 times by order of the Lord. Anticipation was in the air. What would
his hiking trail.
How about the faith of Joshua? It took a lot of faith to believe that just walking in circles around the walls of an entire city would make them crumble.
So true, Seaflow. Now let's go to the ground with Kara and Sarah. What's happening down there?
I'm here with a man named Moses who has an amazing story. There's action, drama, even shrubbery. Moses, what can you tell us?
I don't really like talking that much. I'm not a great speaker.
Don't worry about that. You start from the beginning. I understand you heard God speak to you. When? How?
I was tending to my sheep when I saw a bush on fire. The weird thing was it wouldn't burn up. And then I heard a voice calling to me from the bush. It called my name.
And it was God.
Yes.
Do you remember what he said?
How could I forget? He said, take off your sandals, for the place you are standing is holy ground.
Holy ground. That must have been exciting.
I was terrified. Then he said he wanted to save us from the Egyptians and lead us into a land flowing with milk and honey.
I'll bet you ran to tell the Israelites.
Not at first. Like I said, I'm not the strongest speaker. I mean, who would believe me? But he said to say, I am who I am. The Lord, the God of your fathers, has sent me to you. So I'm going to go tell the Israelites what God said. Then I'll have to tell Pharaoh to let God's people go.
Oh, now?
Like, right now. That's why I'm so nervous.
There you have it, folks. It's about to get really exciting down here with Moses. Let's listen in.
Hello, Pharaoh. I've got a bit of awkward news. The God of the Israelites has a message just for you.
Pharaoh did not want to let God's people go. But after God brought 10 different plagues against the Egyptian people, Pharaoh at last let the people go.
Until he changed his mind. The people turned and saw Pharaoh's army marching right behind them. The Red Sea was in front of them. They were trapped. They were terrified and they cried out to the Lord. But Moses answered them. Do not be afraid, stand firm. Oh, do not be afraid, stand firm. Receive the deliverance from the Lord. The Lord
I'm happy to report that the Israelites indeed went through on dry ground, through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left.
That's right. The Lord used Moses to save Israel from the hands of the Egyptians.
Hallelujah! Well, Fake News has one last story tonight, and then I'm representing the FNN at the non-denominational NAPFest on the Golden Clap.
Of course, a real FNN favorite. Let's go to Sharon's Earth.
We are standing in Hebron, about to talk to Abraham and Sarah. Many of you know them as the parents of the nation of Israel.
Here they are now, Abraham, Sarah.
I understand that you are leaving your country and your people to go to a new land. Why?
God told us to.
God said he'd make us into a great nation, which I think is sort of funny because I don't have any children, and I have no spring chicken.
I'll never forget it. He said to look up into the heavens and count the stars, and that my descendants would be like that. He said he would bless me and make me into a great nation.
And all the people on the earth will be blessed because of you.
Yes, that's what he said. Did you hear?
It's going around. That's a pretty big promise.
Yep, but God said it and I believe him.
Do I leave everything I know? Do I simply trust and go? Promise blessings on this family, that they would outnumber the sky. All people be blessed because of me. Will you help me trust and believe? Will you lead me, guide me, open my
Moses trusts that God would deliver them from Pharaoh.
Joshua believed God would deliver Jericho into their hands.
Queen Esther risked her life to save her people.
Faith of any size comes through hearing God's promises, believing them, and acting on them.
You know, to have this faith, we need to know what God has promised. And read and know the Word of God. Yes, that's in Jesus Christ.
We believe God's promises are true. We believe what He says He'll do. We'll rejoice tomorrow brings, and together we will join and sing. Hallelujah, praise the name of Jesus. Hallelujah, praise to the Lamb. Hallelujah, praise the name of Jesus. Hallelujah, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and to purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1.
Come unto me, all who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28.